Hi everyone, and welcome to Bluebeam Revu. My name is Ari, and I'm a Bluebeam certified instructor with digital drafting systems. Today, we're going to talk about one of my favorite features in Revu, reuse markup tools. We can find reuse markup tools in our status bar, but this is not turned on by default when we first open the program. So we can go to our Tools dropdown, mouse over Toolbars, and turn on our status bar right here. I'm going to turn mine off and then on, and you can see the word ready on the bottom left side. This will change based on whatever function you're going to be using. And I've covered the status bar in previous tutorials, but just so you guys can see, when I switch from the hand tool to the select tool, you can see it says select region containing markups. You can also see that if you use an actual markup tool like the highlight tool, then it shows text here that gives us instructions on how to use that markup. To the right of this is a cluster of different buttons and toggles that are in the status bar, along with the fifth one from the left, which is reuse markup tools. This one is great. What you can do is use a tool without it to test it and see the difference. When you create a line with reuse markup tools turned off, the tool is deselected from my cursor, and if I needed to make 5 lines in a row or place 5 different objects in my tool chest in a row, for example, then you'll see that I would have to select the function again and then do it one more time, and you can see that this is a little bit tedious. So instead, we're going to turn on reuse markup tools. And now I can begin creating lines infinitely. And when I'm done drawing all of my lines, I can then press the escape key. So this toggle allows us to use the escape key to control when we're done drawing. Now, in the tool chest, the same concept applies, especially with sequences. However, let's turn reuse markup tools off and test this. If I have a sequence that's already created in the tool chest, I can essentially see that I can continue placing any of these markups in the sequence with reuse markup tools turned off, oddly enough. Now, if I placed another markup, such as a text box, let's find one in my tool chest somewhere around here. Let's see, we'll use this one. With this, reuse markup tools, having it turned off, forces us to then place this label several times by selecting it from the tool chest repeatedly, because you can see that it's deselecting the tool from my cursor. With reuse markup tools turned on, this now functions like a sequence. We can place this markup repeatedly, and when we're done, we press the escape key. So sequences can bypass reuse markup tools and will always allow you to create them infinitely, which is basically their purpose. But oddly enough, with reuse markup tools itself, it allows us to then do this with regular markups like text boxes, typewriters, and other objects and things like lines, etc., etc. And that's essentially how reuse markup tools works. We can also access reuse markup tools in preferences. So by going to review and clicking on preferences, we can then go to tools and find reuse tools right here. This is essentially the same thing as reuse markup tools down here. So when we turn this off and we click OK, you can see that reuse markup tools has also turned itself off. And vice versa, if I turn it on here and I go back to preferences, we'll see that reuse markup tools, or reuse tools in this case, is now turned on once again. So these two are essentially the same function with a slightly different name to them. Thank you very much for watching our tutorial on the reuse markup tools toggle in Bluebeam Revu. I'm really glad to show one of my favorite features in this program and show you guys all the nuances about it. Once again, my name is Ari and I'm with Digital Drafting Systems, and I hope you have a great rest of your day.